And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed those duct tapes from times gone by. I apologize for the extended break, but I promise it's worth it, puppy. It's worth it because we have our next series. We have our next quarterfinals match. And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Hecate, we have the South Korean Zerg player, the Red Zerg, representing CranKy Z Gaming. It is Dark. And spawning in the bottom left, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Protoss, representing Macherino Esports. It is NightMare. Here we go. And to put things into context, of course, NightMare did take down Creator to make it this far in a PvP, and the winner of this quarterfinals match will be facing off against Oliveira in the semifinals. So a Terran is waiting for either a Protoss or Zerg to make it through. Who is it going to be? Also, as we did mention before the break, Dark is the last remaining Zerg player in the entire tournament. Shin has been knocked out, Miyamaka was knocked out, and Scarlet was knocked out as well. So we are down to only one, and we'll see if he can make it past NightMare. Of course, Dark is one of the best Zerg players in South Korea. It is going to be more of an uphill battle for NightMare to really take it to him. Meanwhile, okay, we have a gate expand into Cybercore here from NightMare. Standard opener overall. Likewise, Dark going for a hatch gas pool, able to get his hatchery on location. Able to get it up and running without too much issue. So far, some pretty standard openers here between our players. Very important to take note of, just because Dark is a player that's willing to mix it up. He's willing to go pool first, or faster gases, even a faster Roach Warren as well. So scouting a player like Dark is paramount here, especially in this matchup. But we are loading into Hecate, one of the more standard maps in the map pool. We don't really see too many all-ins or too many queen walks across the map, for example, off of 2 bases, or even off of 3 bases. So we should be getting a bit of a longer game, should be able to sink our teeth into this. And I look forward to it, just because so far we have casted 2 series, and we had some quick games. Like we've had some very aggressive matches with Miyamaka and Gumiho and Oliveira. Just things getting out of control before we get up to 3-base saturation. We haven't had a proper macro game yet, and we could see that here. We could see that here between these players. Fingers crossed. Or no, I mean, I guess it depends what you're into. We'll see. I know late game ZvP isn't everyone's cup of tea, but I want at least the mid game, Bobby. At least the mid game. And so far, Stargate opener. Stargate opener out of NightMare. We have our tech of choice. Should be, I was gonna say should be to go into an Oracle, but we're gonna be going Void Ray first. Interesting. With this Void Ray, we're gonna be shutting down Overlords. We're gonna be denying Vision and denying the Scout of what we throw down next. The follow-up tech here from NightMare is gonna be an interesting one. He has the option to go into a Twilight Council if he so chooses. It could just be an Oracle into a third, into a Forge, right? Like, it could just be a standard follow-up into the mid-game, or we could do something a little bit more cheeky. We'll see. We shall see. As there we go, the first Warrior is coming out. We have the Oracle as a follow-up to get economic damage done across the map. First Overlord is going to go down, and because of this, again, NightMare, he's more concerned about denying any kind of follow-up scout. Lings are in position to spot the 3rd base. And so far, NightMare is none the wiser. Back at home, Darky's just droning. He did pull out a gas, so no fast lair, no fast roaches. We're just saturating all of our bases, getting into the swing of things. Meanwhile, Dark is just... Oh my god! Dark is just rotating back and forth, checking the 3rd base location, and there's a reason why I was a little bit suspicious of NightMare going for the Void Ray first, and there it is. I thought it was going to be a Twilight Council. It is not. It's a Fleet Beacon. It's a Fleet Beacon. There's a second Stargate. We are rushing into Sky Toss. This should be either a Carrier or a Tempest Rush. Tempests have been a little bit more popular recently, especially on Radisson Station. On a map like Hecate, again, we'll see if we do head towards the Carrier or the Tempest. One or the other. Both, of course, have similar roles. 3rd base now being taken by NightMare. He has a Void Ray in position. Adepts and Zealots as well. And the first Oracle is getting across the map to try to keep Dark busy. And there it is. There's a Tempest. Now, there is a power spike available here for NightMare. Tempest, they aren't just for defensive positions here. They aren't just to defend the third base, as the stasis trap is going to be going off and it does catch up. Ooh, 2 drones. Not too bad. 2 workers are caught out. But this is a power spike. Basically, these Tempests, they're going to be making a beeline for the main. They're going straight for the main base. They can actually kill queens, depending on the positioning of Dark. If they start killing queens, they can snowball out of control and really threaten the base itself because they do a lot of damage to buildings. Meanwhile, we are making a second and third Tempest. We do have a transition. Twilight Council is already on the way here for NightMare. Okay. So it looks like we may not be committing to pure Skytoss. Tempest are moving out. Meanwhile, Dark back at home, he throws down a very fast Spire for those Corruptors or even Mutas. Good reaction so far out of Dark, as NightMare is pushing out. Up to 2 Tempests. We're going for DT. Oh my god. That's what the Twilight Council was for. Not for Charge, not for Blink, but for Dark Templar instead. Mate, NightMare, he's having fun. He's and here we go. The Tempest coming in from behind. We have the Oracle for Revelation. Gonna try and go for some workers here, but the Queens are in position, getting a lot of damage done. 2 drones go down, but that's quite a lot of hull damage to that Tempest. Again, with their range, they're going to be able to bully those Queens back. Spore is under fire. As Dark is defending, he's going for a massive Roach counterattack across the map. I say massive, you know, a Roach counterattack across the map. Hoping to gain some value. So far, the Queens are holding. We've only lost a couple of workers. Ooh, Queen is going to go down. And Dark is pushing right for the natural. He's ignoring the third. But there are Void Rays. There are Void Rays in position. Lings do slip into the natural base. Probes are going to be going down. And we have 10 Corruptors in production. Dark, he's done a great job at buying time. Oh, a lot of Queens are falling, though. That is 4 Queens. That's a lot of Queens, Papi. Things are getting a little bit more done. They don't manage to scout the main base. Important that that did not occur. As another Queen falls. Carriers reveal themselves. No, we miss a recall. We miss a Tempest. It was left behind. 1 Tempest is going to be going down. A big pickup here for Dark. And looking at the resources lost tab here, we can see that 5 Queens went down to the Tempest. Only 2 workers. The economy of Dark was left basically untouched. Losing the Queens is a little bit brutal. That is going to slow down injecting and creep spread. We're making 4 Queens at a time to recover. And the Corruptors have arrived to deal with those Void Rays. And that's a lot of Void Rays. What to do with the Tempest? But we have a lot of Void Rays, which were scouted earlier. And without Queens to support, without Queens to transfuse, yeah, the Corruptors, they have to respect this army. 14 Roaches are on the way. NightMare, he's going for charge. He has Archons available as well with those DTs. And we are pushing in towards that 4th. Meanwhile, DT counterattack does wreak havoc here at the 3rd. 7 workers go down. NightMare, can he pull this off? He focuses down as much as he can. Tries to focus down those Corruptors. The Zealots are getting on top of the Queens. But the Void Rays will fall. Just too many Corruptors in the air. And NightMare is going to be losing everything. The Tempest, the Void Rays. Only a single Archon survives. The DTs did a lot of harassing damage. Like they took down 7 workers. That is quite impactful. But NightMare, he just lost his entire army. Ay, ay, ay. Again, thankfully for Dark, he remade those Queens. He had enough energy for transfuse. He kept the Corruptors alive. And now Dark is in a commanding position. There's nothing left. There's nothing left here for NightMare. He has a bit of a ground army, but no forge, no upgrades. There's no Spore in position, so this Oracle is actually getting a couple more drones. But how much really shoots up here? We don't have Blink, and this Nexus is going to go down. Massive causing spray here on the natural base. And it will fall. Meanwhile, at the 3rd, we have Roaches going to be pushing towards these Zealots, and these charge shots, they can trade fairly well, but there just aren't enough of them. There's only 1 Immortal. A good trade from Dark. Does end up losing additional drones across the map. I believe to the Oracle. But Dark, he still maintains his economic lead. And he's working on +2, +2. Of course, Overlord speed. This could be for a Queen push. There's only 5 Queens. So just for scouting. Dark is going to be consolidating his army. And NightMare, he's going to try his best here to hold on to his third. Now he's up to 2 Immortals. Has a lot of sentries and force fields. Well, look at the soup. This time it doesn't lie. As Dark is, at this point, maxed out. Pushing towards the third, and, you know, NightMare, it's just been an uphill battle here for him ever since he lost his main army. It was all or nothing for NightMare. I appreciate the variety. We had something we're going to see 12. The Vials, they connect with the Stalkers. Ay, ay, ay. Massive connections here from Dark. The Corruptors, they coming from behind, going straight for the base. Vials once again raining down on the Protoss army. Overcharge doing what it can. The Nexus will barely hold on. And, yo, with the Concave, NightMare is holding. He is holding on. He is forcing this back. But again, these are trades that Dark can afford, and NightMare not so much. He does at least hold on to the Nexus. A lot of Corruptors did fall. As Dark is still waiting for +2. We have an Infestation Pit. Dark is expanding, taking a 5th base. So Dark is working on that next step. 5th base, working towards Hive. Remaxing. And with this follow push, I don't know if he can break the natural... Sorry, if he can break the third. That's a lot of Stalkers. Oof. Once again, Vials will connect. Yeah, Dark is going to rotate around. I don't see NightMare getting away with this 4th. The 4th base is ambitious, and Dark is looking to punish it. Yeah, it does force a cancel. As he splits up his army, this time there are no sentries, no force fields. Sentries, they just now get warped in. A decent force fields on the army, but Dark is gaining ground. Overcharge is going to be keeping these Immortals alive. Meanwhile, the Corruptors, okay, they don't get the base. Thankfully, they don't get the base. As Dark has broken the third, breaks through the army, gets himself the Immortal, and there is nothing left. The Oracles, they're doing what they can. They're doing everything they can, but the Nexus is going to get targeted down. There is no detection, so these DTs will clean up this army. But where is the economy? Where is everything else for NightMare? 14 probes on down. And Dark, he's just chilling back at home, rebuilding his Roach army. He just threw down a Hydrogen for some anti-air. Overseers are on the way to deal with those DTs. NightMare is on his last legs, hoping that maybe there wasn't any detection. The Dark Templar are being cleaned up. And this is going to be another kill on the 3rd base, not a cancel. GG gets called, and Dark will take game number 1. GG. But that was an interesting one, you know, seeing a player go into a Tempest Rush, which again we haven't really seen, or at least I haven't had the luxury of casting this season other than Radizet Station. We've seen it a lot on Radizet Station. For those wondering, the reason why is because the natural base specifically on that map is quite exposed. The mineral line is facing the opposing player, so because of that, once Tempest move out across the map, they can actually take control of the mineral line and just deny mining at the night. It's brutal. It's brutal what Tempest can do on Radizet Station. So we've seen that quite a lot on that map, but first time I'm seeing it here on Hecate, and it did well for itself initially. Remember, we killed 5 queens, we killed 2 workers, not too bad, but it was an ill-advised kind of assault at the 4th base of Dark, where we just committed, we went essentially all in, and it wasn't enough to break Dark. Instead, NightMare, he broke himself on the defenses of Dark, resetting his Void Ray count, resetting his Tempest count, and setting himself behind as a result. GG. GG, well played. With that, we are getting into that second game. Quickly just setting up the scores. Boom, there we go. Getting into game number 2. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Oceanborn, we have the South Korean Zerg player representing Dragon KZ Gaming, leading the series 1-0. It is Dark. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Protoss player representing Macherino Esports. Down in the series, but not out. It is NightMare. I swear Tempest are the most overrated unit. I always see them end up in situations like this. I mean, kind of. Like, Tempest, we have seen them win games. Like, again, there's a reason why players go for Tempest rushes like that, because they can wreak havoc. If they start killing queens, they can snowball out of control. If you remember, though, winding it back, something that was very important is that Dark did get into a really fast Spire. If you remember, he threw down the Spire, I want to say even before he saw the Tempest. Maybe he caught a glimpse of one Tempest, but the production of the Spire was actually quite fast, so it didn't take too long to get into the Corruptors, forcing the first recall. If it wasn't for such a fast Spire out of Dark, then those Tempests would have been wreaking havoc at the third base a lot longer, and NightMare, he was killing all the queens. Like, remember, he killed 5 queens. There was 1 queen left by the time the Corruptors arrived, so if that wasn't the case, then potentially NightMare, he would have been able to kill the final queen and then start getting worker damage, then start killing drones and getting an economic lead from there. So I do think a lot of it did come down to that moment. It was also brutal, if you remember, when the Corruptors arrived, the recall missed the Tempest. That was we missed 1 Tempest, which, I mean, I don't know if that would have been the most impactful, if it would have made the most impactful role in the eventual assault at the 4th, but that was also a brutal moment, and I think that also goes to show that NightMare just wasn't expecting the Corruptors that quickly. I think he just again, was frazzled and caught off guard by the timing of those Corruptors as they rocked up, and yeah, even got a free Tempest. Meanwhile, the aggression is going to continue. That is not a Stargate. That is a Twilight Council open. Let's go. It's going to be a Twilight Council here from NightMare. And with that, this should be leading into one of 2 things. Typically one of 2 things. Either Glaive Adepts or Dark Templar. So once again, NightMare is going to be the aggressor initially. We'll see if he can, again, get some damage done. Meanwhile, across the map, Hatch Gas Pool out of Dark. He's forced to take the Unnatural Natural. This is a good setup for NightMare to abuse if he were to go for something like Glaive Adepts. The rush distance by ground on Oceanborn is a little bit shorter. So far, unscouted. Robo gets thrown down. Do we pull out of gas? If we do not pull out of gas, then this can be a little bit more committed. There it is. Glaives does begin, and yeah, we do pull out of gas in the end. So it should be 4-gate Glaive Adepts. We're not going for a 6-gate variation, and we're not going for Dark Templar in conjunction with Glaive Adepts. So this isn't all-in. This is committed, though. This has to deal damage. If this doesn't get economic damage across the map, if this doesn't at least trade well, then NightMare will set himself behind. As a follow-up to this, he should be looking to expand and take a third base and transition out. Okay, this is just a way to get yourself ahead and get yourself comfortable leading into the mid-game. And we'll see if Dark can piece this together.
Our forces are under attack.
He's going to be moving out with these Lings, getting eyes on the third base. And the longer this goes on without seeing an Oracle, there we go. We have a safety Roach Warren on the way from Dark. Stalker is a bit of a tell. The lack of Oracle as well. So we have that safety Roach Warren. 4-minute Roach Warren is going to be just in time to defend against Adepts. Of course, the Prism has been spotted. Now, Dark isn't 100% certain that this is Adepts or DTs. He's not certain, so we have Spores on the way. He's covering his bases. In case it is a Dark Shrine opener, we're going to have detection available. So Dark is covering his bases, just making sure that he doesn't get caught off guard. And the Spores will finish just in time. The Queens are moving on forward. Third base is on the way. Dark does confirm that. I mentioned before that this 4-gate Glaive Adept opener is not all in by any means. It's just designed to, give you map control and get you into a third. But if we lose these Adepts too early, then it will trigger a counterattack. That's the thing, like, this is on a knife's edge here. NightMare cannot throw these Adepts away. As Dark is making a lot of Lings behind this. So a very delicate dance from NightMare, clearing up creep. Rotating around. The Lings, they do bypass the Adepts, actually, going straight for the third. Uh-oh. Straight for that third base. The Adepts once again will not commit to the shade, and what do we have at home to defend? Not much. We are going to be forcing a defensive warp in. The pylon goes down. We get a surround on the third base, and we cannot afford to cancel this. Dark is just going for the Adepts instead, getting us around, forcing another warp in. Dark gets a kill on both of those Adepts. Behind this, we're transitioning into Robotic Spay, into Blink, and +1. More Lings are arriving though, and Dark, he wants that Nexus. And he's going to get it as well, forcing a recall back home actually. Oh my god. And to be fair, if it wasn't for this recall, 100% this base would be dead. 100% it would have gone down. So a clutch recall moment there from NightMare. He does hold on to his third. But behind this, Dark is able to enjoy his position. He hasn't lost any drones. We have a fourth base on the way. The lair is done. Roach speed in production. And there was a bit of a give and take here. Yes, NightMare didn't kill any workers, but he did force out a lot of Lings. Likewise, I do think that Dark is in a better position from this moment. Again, that's a lot of roaches, and Dark, he's cutting workers at 60. It's going to be a tough hold here for NightMare. Thankfully, he does leave some Stalkers back at home. Going to be applying pressure to this fourth. So Lings are being forced away. Now, Dark is at 60 workers. He hasn't... Okay, there we go. I was like, he hasn't droned up yet. Now we have a wave of workers, macro hatchery, +1 melee, and a Baleen Nest. This tells us that Dark does intend on saturating his fourth. He is not going for a 3-base all-in, which is initially what I thought would happen. But it looks like he's recognized that NightMare, he has a decent Stalker army, and going for an all-in is going to be a little bit too risky as NightMare pushes out. Another Ling run by heading towards that third. Have reinforcements back at home. First Disruptor has arrived. Relying a lot on this Nova to zone away the army to even connect. Stark is pushing in whilst they're going to be connecting here with the Stalkers. Link's coming from behind. We're still holding onto that Nova and it will go off. Takes down one Roach, maybe two Roaches. Not the best connection. Do you have another weapon of Stalkers? NightMare trying to force his way towards his fourth base, but we have reinforcements. The Disruptor goes down. The Disruptor does overextend. Pretty expensive loss there for NightMare. All the Adepts go down as well. And Dark is holding. Dark is holding. Is going to be losing an Overlord and potentially a Queen. We have more Lings and Roaches on the way. NightMare, though, he is gaining ground. We do have another weapon of Stalkers. He is slowly encroaching that fourth base. At the same time, Adepts come in. They shade into the third, distracting Dark for a moment. 3 workers go down as they shade into the main base as well, and that does give an opportunity for NightMare to take down the fourth. And we even get a couple more drones. 6 workers, 7 workers in total. Very nicely done here by NightMare. Again, if it wasn't for those Adepts, I'm pretty sure Dark would have held on to this fourth. He did have plenty of reinforcements on the way. So nice moves here out of NightMare. He's still in this. Still on 3 bases, though. We could do with a fourth. We have the minerals for it. NightMare, though, instead going to be investing in doubling down on a second robo for double Disruptor production. Another Prism. We're going to be doubling down on Disruptors. NightMare going to be rotating around towards the new 4th base of Dark, which is up and running. Which is fully operational. And now we have the 4th base for NightMare. Now, this base is a little bit late from our Protoss, which is less than ideal. Dark already working on his 5th. But NightMare is settling down, especially with double robo production. He's working on Disruptors and now Colossus as well. The game is going to be settling. NightMare, he doesn't want to commit to a big attack without his Colossus, without this power spike that's on the way. And this is going to give a lot of breathing room to Dark. Dark is going to be the first player to max out. He's on 5 bases. He's on almost 80 workers at this point. The question becomes, can NightMare survive? Can he hold on long enough to get into his Colossi? Because Dark is not going to wait around. We have 21 Banelings on the way, Hive in production, and Dark is pushing. go. Lings making their way towards the fourth. Stalkers are distracted. Disruptors are rocking up as well. We have 2 Novas available. We have to make them count. First Nova grazes the army. Second Nova still in the chamber. As Dark is being forced back so far. Good engagement here from NightMare as he dives into the Ravagers. Picking off so many of them at the same time though. 7 probes go down. Dark has to back off. And NightMare holds onto his base. There's still Lings. There's still Lings in position. We have to be wary of. But now we have 2 Colossi. Extend Thermal Lance is about to kick in. But the wall is not. No, the wall's not a wall. The Banelings, they get into the mineral lines. Probes are going to be going down, but we overshoot. We overshoot a little bit. 17 probes go down, and NightMare doesn't care. He is pushing out. He is all in. Probes are falling left and right. The Banelings, we came back too soon. 41 probes. The economy's in shambles. There's nothing left. We've recall. Oh my god. We're recalling back home, but there's nothing to save. There's nothing to save as a couple of Stalkers get caught out. Dark is remaxing, and NightMare, there's no turning back from this. Decent Nova on Lings. And again, there's just nothing back at him to save. The 4th base goes down. We barely have any workers left. We have to keep pushing. Meanwhile, Dark, he gets away with a Hive. Hive is done. Vipers are coming out. I think we have, well, we don't have any Vipers yet. Adrenal +3. NightMare, he's going for drop play instead. He's going to try to recover. We're down to 31 probes. Crazy. NightMare, he's going to try and recover back at home, making more workers. He's going for some harassing disruptor drops across the map. And as he moves out, Lings, they do come back in. Again, I think it's possible that NightMare wasn't fully aware of just how much he had lost across the map when he chose to recall. Maybe he just wasn't feeling too confident pushing onto creep, which I don't blame him for that. Big connections. Big connections on those Lings, but really we're just bleeding out Lings, and Dark, he can keep on pushing. He's got a 2k mineral bank. Oof. Piles will be connecting as well. And really, I feel like the only thing keeping Dark back is the lack of Vipers. Vipers will be a sure way to shut down things like Colossi, Disruptors, which is why I'm a little bit shocked that we haven't made any. Oh, good. Haven't made any yet. We're going into Ultras instead. The Banelings make their way into the mineral line for a second time. Another Baneling run by being set up on the right-hand side. There's only 1 Disruptor left in this prism. A nice catch from NightMare. Does catch a lot of Lings and the Banelings as well, but they're going to finish. Oof. They finish up just in time. Not the best trade out of Dark, but a trade nonetheless. We have to recall back home because Dark is going straight for the 3rd once again. Banelings connecting, Dark backing off. We're still just making nothing but Lings. +3 melee on the way. This isn't the most efficient way to try to end the game for Dark, but I mean, it's still working. I mean, NightMare is still contained to 3 bases. He's been able to recover a little bit economically. He's up to 49 probes. But Dark, he can just keep rebuilding Lingbane and just pushing over and over again. Shield batteries depowered, no overcharge. Dark, he's double expanding even. Getting a 6th and 7th base. Which is pretty insane. Yeah, it's just a really rough position for NightMare to be in. He doesn't have the economy to sustain something like Sky Toss or continued robot production. I think Rambai is going to be coming in this time with +3. A lot of Stalkers do go down. The Disruptor, no! NightMare, he wasn't quite looking. He was distracted by the Rambai. Disruptor goes down. Only 3 Colossi remain. Lings, they slip into the natural as well. And they're going straight for the Nexus. They don't even care. Nexus is going to get targeted down. And NightMare is just being pulled apart. Then GG gets called. We don't even get a final fight. Dark will take the series 2-0, advancing on to the semifinals. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations to Dark, as he does take the series in the end. It was quite a bit of a back and forth, actually. You know, there was a really strong start, remember, where NightMare was able to pull apart the attention of Dark and kill the fourth, right? That was definitely a good moment where NightMare could have expanded behind it, gotten his own fourth base, and built up towards those Colossi. But unfortunately, just Dark was so tenacious in that game on Oceanborn, with constant run-bys, constant counterattacks, constant aggression, and was able to break through and force the all-in. I would have to recheck what the supplies were looking like. I am curious as to what could have occurred if NightMare didn't recall back home and we committed into a base trade as well, bearing in mind that Dark was also spending a lot of his Lingbane to harass across the map, which meant that he had less to defend against the push. It was 3 Colossi, I don't think we had a fourth, I think it was 3 Colossi and 2 Disruptors with a massive Stalker army. In that moment, was there an opportunity for NightMare? Potentially. I'm not saying that he would have won, but we would have had probably a stronger chance there at having a different outcome and taking that game. Recalling in that moment, it was just too little too late. It was too little to save anything, too late to save anything, and in the end, Dark did take it. GG, well played. With that, we have our semifinals. Let's go. Let us go. !B in the chat if you guys want to have a look at the Wikipedia page yourself, as we have both semifinals ready to go. The bottom half of the bracket, we have Cure taking down Classic 2-1. So Hero versus Cure currently ongoing. I believe that's being casted by Chicken Man and Dave Testa, so they got you covered with that TVP. Meanwhile, we have our own matchup. We're going to be following Dark into the semis, into Oliveira. Let's go.